charged with first-degree murder. Now with a look at sports, here's WSIC Sports Director Joe Berg.
Chase Elliott opened up the Watkins Glen betting line as the favorite to take the win at 5-2 odds. Tomorrow, the PGA Tour starts their action from the BMW Championship from the Olympia Fields North Course. Lionel Messi scored in his 6th consecutive match as Inter Miami beats Philadelphia Union to advance to the League's Cup Finals.
WSIC weather mostly sunny and warm today with a high of 86. Partly cloudy tonight, the low 65, then sunshine returns Thursday through the weekend. Highs will be in the upper 80s each day. Mike Jackson, WSIC News.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone, this afternoon to WSIC. We're here. Is this still the good, the bad, and the guilty, Joe? Okay, outstanding. I've not been here in a few days. It seems like a few weeks, months. It's been a while. But nice equipment here. Nice, friendly fellowship. Thank you guys for welcoming us in studio with us today. We have a couple of gyms. Oh, I'm Captain Matt, by the way, Captain Matt Burleson. And do the community stuff. And if the sheriff needs it done, we make sure it happens here. So he is busy with some. I'm not sure how serious it was. He did leave out of the building. He had to handle some business. I don't know if it's related to his. We were talking before the break about he's now the president of the North Carolina Sheriff's Association. He takes a few phone calls and stuff for that, but again, he asked us to handle this today, and there's been quite a few things in the news, and we brought some experts with us today, Joe. We've got Lieutenant Daniel Eichert with us. He is the supervisor of the Special Victims Unit. I'll let him talk in a few minutes about what that unit is and just what they do over there. And one of his other detectives, Justin Parks, is with us as well. So welcome, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. And Joe, I believe we said at the top of the show we were going to take phone calls as well. Is that still 873-1400? And I will get my Facebook up here as well. And we are on WSIC News Live on Facebook. If you guys want to send a question or anything in there, I always got to make sure I do this and don't make the noise. It's always embarrassing when you do that. So, but again, so Detective Lieutenant Eichert. Is a lieutenant detective? Yes, Lieutenant Detective Eichert. Tell us about that Special Victims Unit. I know the sheriff has expanded it quite a bit in the last few years, but it's been something that does a lot of more specialized, more detailed information, right?
Yeah, it does. So basically, within our unit, there's 4 constituent parts, 4 different disciplines. We have the fraud unit, which Justin's with, or the economic crime unit. Mm-hmm. We have the sex crimes unit. Deals with anything, any sort of assault such as that, or missing persons also. They also cross over into that. We have a DV unit that handles all things domestic violence related. And we also have a couple of uniformed guys that deal with sex offender registry. But they also are kind of a versatile do-it-all that helps other parts of our unit.
Yes, and you mentioned that. Just ideas are popping in my head. I'll try to keep the ADD down, try to write it down. But missing persons. Now, we've had several situations, not several, but a few in the past where we've had wanderers, Alzheimer's patients, maybe special needs children. And I know that Detective Cody James has been, the sheriff was able to reappropriate some money and get that Project Lifesaver reinstated. Yep. So any questions about that can come to your unit, can come to Cody James, Detective James, or myself even.
Absolutely. Yep. If anybody has any need for something like that, we're available. Glad to provide the service.
Yeah, so what that does essentially is a radio frequency identifier that is on a bracelet. And that battery is kept up by us, checked by the family or caregivers, make sure that it's working properly. 30, 60 days, we go back out and change that battery. If they were to wander or leave, we'd be able to utilize tracking devices to find where that is. Not quite as sophisticated, I guess, as your Tile or your Apple devices, but it's good for folks like that, or older folks that get out there. So, yes, and I think last week on the show, one of your deputies was here with the uniform deputies, the sex offender registry. Mm-hmm. Okay, all right, yeah, that was Bradley Stroud. So yeah, he talked a lot about that. All right, what do you do there, Detectives Justin?
I am assigned to the Special Victims Unit. Specifically, I'm in the fraud unit. Mm-hmm. So we handle anything from folks getting scammed. We handle people who have their bank accounts hacked into, so to speak. We handle elder exploitation cases where older folks are being taken advantage of financially, and just anything of the financial crime or fraud nature is what we cover.
Yeah, and you use those words, white collar crime. I know the sheriff alludes to that quite a few times, and it's an economic crime unit. How many's in that unit that just specifically does what you guys do?
We have 4 in our unit.
Okay, all right. Yeah. And I know we've got a case, and we'll talk about that probably here in a few minutes. So we'll get into the case, but some of the things that you guys have to do and go into detail, forensic speaking. There's some I guess deep dives you'd say into banking accounts, financial information. I know there's a lot of search warrants involved that you're sending to banks and institutions.
Yes,
Talk
sir.
a little bit about that specialty.
So a lot of the stuff that we deal with, particularly I think kind of the stuff you're talking about, in embezzling type cases, mm-hmm. We send the search warrants off to the bank to go back through certain timelines and get bank records. And depending on the case, kind of depends on the depth of how far back you have to go into the bank records. But mm-hmm. just being able to go through and search through the records and know what you're looking for to establish either a history or establish a pattern showing that someone's either embezzling money or taking money that doesn't belong to them. So
now, and we'll talk a little bit more detail, of course, about that embezzlement. And I know there was another charge that came out of this most recent case, obtaining property by false pretense as well. But you mentioned did you say elder abuse? Or
exploitation.
Elder
Yes,
exploitation.
Sir.
So in a case such as a financial case, you could have an elder adult have a caregiver or even a family member.
Correct.
Could take their funds. So how would you find out about that?
Unfortunately, a lot of the cases we do see, it is a family member, mm-hmm. Whether it's a grandchild, a child, some other family member mm-hmm. Who gets access to someone's bank account, whether they're made power of attorney over that person or mm-hmm. whatever. In some cases, they just get a hold of grandma's bank card.
Right.
They're not supposed to have it. But if we can establish a pattern that this person either was not aware of what was happening with their finances or were being taken advantage of mm-hmm.
by
the suspect, then we can not only charge them with whatever financial crime, mm-hmm. but if we can establish that they're elderly and they've been taken advantage of, that's when we look into the elder exploitation.
And one of the things I was going to say about that is Sheriff Campbell, if he was here, he would say check on your older folks.
Absolutely.
Not only just when it's weather related, whether it's hot outside or cold outside, but check on them, see how they're doing. Mm-hmm. If it's a neighbor, a family member, twice cousin removed, a friend from church. Check on them and see how that stuff's going. And then the app is an easy way to be able to send information. We've got that app, and I know it talks about sex offenders on there. We put out some different fraud scams and crime trends that we're seeing on the app as well.
Yes.
But on that app, you can actually report a crime, and it could be anonymous. You could say, a person you're thinking about or worried about that may be happening to. So, mm-hmm. Now, go ahead, sir.
To keep in mind too, with talking about the elderly population and keeping a check on those folks, it tends to be they are more susceptible than other demographics. Mm-hmm. We spoke about somebody close to them. With fraud, it's generally somebody that's very close to you or very far removed from you.
Right.
So by virtue of the fact of being close to someone, that puts me in the position to be able to exploit or cheat or steal or whatever it may be.
Someone to trust.
Right.
Yep. Position of trust. Better hope you can trust them.
Right.
Mm.
And unfortunately, some of the other crimes that you deal with as well in the sex assault, sexual abuse cases, there's that element of trust or broken trust with situations there as well.
Yeah, very much so.
Yep. And I think we have 2 of those cases discussed. So I know we've got just a minute left before we go, so I won't get into the case just yet. We'll come back from break and do that case. But I wanted to say, I sprung on you guys right before we started that the Citizens Academy will be coming up, and we'll talk about that more later. But you guys are going to do a special presentation during the Citizens Academy.
That's correct.
On fraud, scams, some of those things. So be thinking during the break if there's anything we need to know about beforehand, a little preview of what's going to go on at the Citizens Academy we can tell the citizens about. So that would be awesome.
Sounds good.
All right. Guys, just come back here in a few minutes. We will be right here at WSIC, Facebook, or 873-1400.
Conversations that matter.
I gotta tell you, I'm afraid to even think about the next presidential election.
Led by you.
It's a mockery of American politics.
This is WSIC News Talk Now.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Asheville native Kanan Cox is performing Friday, August 25th at Kane Center for the Arts. Get your tickets while they last. Show starts at 8 p.m. Visit canearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. Want to showcase your music skills? Richard's Coffee Shop and Military Museum in downtown Mooresville has their music jam sessions every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to noon. Richard's Coffee Shop, located in downtown Mooresville. For more info, visit welcomevets.com. Ever dreamed of seeing Freddie Mercury and Queen live? Absolute Queen, a Queen tribute, will be playing at Boatyard Eats in Cornelius Friday, August 18th. Tickets are $20 online. Enjoy live music and at a fun venue. Absolute Queen, Friday night at Boatyard Eats in Cornelius. To buy tickets, visit boatyardlkn.com. Ever wonder what Mooresville was like in 1873? The historic downtown walking tour is a self-guided tour that will take you on a stroll through Mooresville's past to learn about the history of the town. Featuring 18 stops, the tour begins and ends at the corner of Main Street and Center Avenue. It should take 1 hour to complete. For more info, visit downtownmooresville.com. What would it be like to play glow stick bingo? Come check out the Bingo Glow Party at the Statesville Civic Center. Tuesday, August 22nd, doors open at 6 p.m. All games will be played under blacklight. Glow stick bingo at the Statesville Civic Center. For more info, visit civiccenter.statesvillenc.net. Have an event you'd like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
I'm Keith Maloney with your WSIC forecast. As we head into the evening, we'll have partially cloudy skies. Our low temperature will be 66 degrees. For Thursday, sunny skies all day with a high temperature of 88 degrees. And looking at Thursday night, we're going to have mostly clear skies. Our low temperature will be 66 degrees. I'm Keith Maloney from WSIC's Weather Center.
Have your say.
Trusting the government to fix anything is a joke.
Be a part of the conversation.
We can't even trust the banks with our money.
This is WSIC News Talk Now.
All right, outstanding. Welcome back. That was a nice break. Good intro there with the music. Thank you, Joe. Yes, we are back in studio. WSIC News, WSIC Facebook online, and we have gentlemen with us. We have Detective Justin Parks as well as Detective Lieutenant Daniel Eichert with us in studio today. I'm Captain Matt. We were talking before about the Special Victims Unit, about the cases that involved the victims of fraud and whether it be money or some type of property. So in this particular case that we just released just on Facebook, there was 5 obtaining property by false pretenses. They were upgraded to a Class C felony due to the amounts being greater than $100,000, as well as 5 counts of felony embezzlement, 3 of which were upgraded to a Class C felony because of amounts greater than $100,000. The incident happened here in Statesville. The suspect is Joseph Gilbert Gallitz. I say that right, Detective?
I believe so.
Okay, Gallitz, yep. 38 years old, of 147 Ashmore Circle in Troutman. And this looks like his case was assigned to you, or this is your case. You had gotten it in early 2003, but it dated back large-scale embezzlement had dated back to 2018, over 5 years.
Yeah, I got it in 2023, not 2003.
2003. 2023. Yes, you are correct. Thank you for that. So go ahead, Daniel. Tell us about just how far-reaching this is, or what you can talk about. I'm sure there's going to be some extra charges or other stuff that's coming out.
Right. So this case originated with a local business. They had happened upon some data in their records that was concerning. After that, they called us. I was asked to go over there and discuss it with them. Got the basics of it all, was provided some data. Really, really thankful for the help the State Bureau of Investigation offered in this matter. One of their investigators pulled together a ton of data and was able to provide all sorts of spreadsheets, making it very easy to show exactly what had happened. If it hadn't been for her, I would still be building spreadsheets today.
Combing through the data,
yeah,
right?
It was a lot of information. At any rate, this gentleman was manipulating numbers to keep it short. This then affected his income, and over time there was a bunch of money that was obtained unlawfully.
So we've got a bad guy getting rich off of a local business.
Yes.
Because you said it affected his income. I'm thinking maybe if he's taken from his employer, that's embezzlement, right? So explain to me or to the viewers embezzlement versus the obtaining property of false pretense.
All right. So obtaining property of false pretense is a rather broad charge. There's a ton of instances where that applies, where something else may not. Essentially, the easy version of saying what it is you have presented some sort of falsehood. You have presented some sort of false fact, whether current or that is to occur, and based upon that information, you obtained something when in fact you knew that this falsehood, was a falsehood.
Okay.
So in that, you're reporting funds that adjusted after it came out in the wash, affected the money earned by this subject.
Right.
The embezzlement is tied directly to the relationship of the person in question back to the victim. These cases actually go back to common law, back like King George.
You're right.
If you follow the citations of the crimes. Of course, you mentioned the $100,000 limit and how that modifies things.
Right.
This goes from a class, I believe it's an H felony.
Okay.
If you just had normal obtaining property or the embezzlement, they become class C felonies. Much more substantial of a charge.
Right.
Of course, because you're dealing with a whole lot more of a dollar value of loss right there.
And just in layman's terms, I guess for the viewers out there, listeners, we go to a Class I felony. That's our lowest felony. Class A is going to be like your murder. This is life in prison versus 1 year in prison. So to go from an H, you said, up to a C, that's
a big leap.
That's a big leap.
For sure.
Yep. So it's pretty serious. And I guess just thinking in again in layman's terms, when you talk about that, you think of an employee at a store or a shoplifter or whatever you say, someone who takes something to the store with the receipt that they didn't buy it. That's that they get money back from a receipt that's an item that wasn't theirs, and they'll get that. But now, if they're an employee there, they're trusted with the funds, however it may be, cash or something, taking that, then that's an embezzlement.
Well, it again depends on relationship.
Okay, all right.
You may have larceny by employee. You may have embezzlement. A lot of that hinges upon the fact of whether or not the person was actually entrusted with what they took.
Okay. I remember a fraud case we talked about. You guys worked with a sick child maybe or something in the past, and that there was a person that had taken money that way. So, and that was obtaining property by false pretense because she says she was collecting money for a sick child, and
the falsehood.
Right, the falsehood, exactly. Joey, I believe you said we got a phone call over there. Go ahead, listener. You're on with Captain Matt and the detectives from the SVU.
Hey, yes, I have a question. My mother has been on Facebook Marketplace, and she's been, I guess, looking to purchase some Chow Chow puppies, and she's just been back and forth with this guy. She sent him money, and I'm not overly convinced that this is even real. Is this something that you guys are seeing a lot of, or I just need some ammo to go back to my mom and tell her that this ain't legit stuff.
Yes, sir. So you have to take it on a case-by-case basis, but we have had several cases that originated on Facebook Marketplace with the dog scams. You'll see people on there put up a dog for sale. They ask for money up front most of the time, and someone starts sending money. A lot of times they'll say, well, it's for the dog's shots or for any type of paperwork that needs to be done. They send the money up front.
That's the next thing they're saying is about the shots. They need more money.
Correct.
I need some ammo to get back to it.
Yes, sir. So, essentially, if they're giving money up front for a dog they've never even laid eyes on, there's a pretty good chance that it is a fraud. But, it all just depends on whether or not they actually have a fraud, if they actually have a dog to give or if they're just trying to take the money. So, when we get those cases, we really have to look into it and see if there's other ads on Facebook from that person, see if it's happened to other people. And just kind of go from there. So
yeah, and I've bought and sold personally on Facebook myself.
Yes,
I mean,
true.
And everybody's got a couple extra fishing rods or a kayak that they don't use. But yes, you're right, sir. No, never. And I think one of the programs you done a while back, if it's too good to be true, right, or if it's dealing with cash is king, you can trust that. And when somebody is taking something from you and they're not giving you anything back for it, that becomes the fraud. So them asking you for something. Not a legitimate business, a person on Facebook Marketplace, that's a red flag. Wouldn't you say, Lieutenant?
Oh, 100%. What I've always gone back to is it's best to deal with somebody you know.
Yeah.
If not that, somebody that you can meet face to face. It becomes more problematic when you start sending funds electronically through whatever medium that you go through. For the caller here, I would say the very best thing, give us a call.
Yeah.
We're a resource. The sheriff wants us to be a resource for the community. We'll be glad to, go through some things. If we need to speak with Mom, if she'd like that, we can do that too. It's not a big deal. Most fraud.
Yeah, y'all might have to do that.
Well,
that's fine.
I thought he was going to go there, caller, with that. I'm gonna talk to your mama. I can't talk to her. You too. Yep.
I appreciate the service y'all provide. Y'all keep up the good work and Godspeed. Okay. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much, caller. Yep. Well, that's good. Yep, 873-1400. Anybody else got any questions? We can all learn from those things. So we were talking about the difference between the false pretenses and embezzlement. How many cases, these counts that you talked about with this guy? We got 10 total, 5 on each the different charges. So talk a little bit more in detail about that, if you can, what you can say.
Basically, this was broken down because it's such a broad swath of time in which this all occurred. This was broken down by year.
So
there would be a billion charges if you just broke everything by individual instance.
Yeah, and again, going back to what you were saying, I know the sheriff had said this as well, that the SBI, the State Bureau of Investigations, had some specialty, whether it be equipment or data, mining equipment. You talked about there's a lot of data involved. Just like we use the things for the cell phones and the other information, we're able to get computers. But dealing with forensics, I guess financial forensics, that's a lot more. It's a lot of numbers there.
Dealing with the volume,
right?
It would have been a really, really daunting task. Thankfully, this particular investigator was an accountant in a past life before going and working for the Bureau. So she had a really good grasp and was, something that was right in her wheelhouse and was able to help out with. Whereas, again, I'd still be counting, So I was really, really happy that she's able to help us in that capacity.
Yeah, we appreciate the SBI. They're any officer involved shootings. We had that situation that was a week or two ago, and anything like that. They're a great resource, and they're here for for us whenever we need them. It's a call, whatever time. So
and some of the local ones are really good.
Right.
They're looked on very favorably around here.
Right, and that's that relationship. You're able to call your SBI agent and ask those questions or be able to help out with that stuff. So that's important to have those people, those resources available. Now, so we've got a bond here, $275,000 secure bond. Obviously, the numbers don't match up there. We're looking at over $1 million over here, it seems like, worth of stuff, and a 275 bond.
$595,000.
Oh, right. $595,000 is how much our local business is out. So how are they going to get this back?
Through the courts, hopefully.
All right.
Well, you have a couple different mechanisms.
Right.
I imagine there's probably some sort of third party that will be involved in this. Right. And there will be some sort of attempt to collect through.
We have another civil unit that does collections and those type things.
Exactly.
So, guys, we appreciate so much your information so far. Thank you, caller, as well, 873-1400. We'll be back in just a few minutes with your questions and more information.
Whatever the story,
We have to end our dependence on China.
have your say.
This debt crisis is going to set our economy back big time.
This is WSIC News Talk Now. Local and North Carolina news now on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC News Talk Now.
I'm Mike Jackson, WSIC News. WSOC TV reporting that some parents in Huntersville are without a place to take their kids during the day after a daycare facility abruptly closed their doors for good. Kid Time Drop Child Care had a sign posted on their front door on Monday stating that they were closed for good and parents wouldn't be getting their money back. Many parents who prepaid for care are considering suing. And WNCN reporting that a Durham woman died when a tree fell on her car Tuesday as severe storms hit the city, police said. The incident was reported around 4:30 p.m. at the intersection of Anderson Street and Moorhead Avenue, according to a news release from the Durham Police Department. The woman was heading north in a 2023 BMW X3 on Anderson Street, police said. Now sports with Joe Berg.
Lionel Messi and Inter Miami beat the Philadelphia Union last night to advance to the League's Cup final. And yesterday, the NBA released the schedule for the first ever in-season tournament.
WSIC weather, sunshine, warm temperatures today with a high of 86. Partly cloudy overnight, the low 65, then sunshine returns Thursday all the way through the weekend. Mike Jackson, WSIC News.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal, the sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us on the roads that unite us. With nearly 6,000 stores and over 17,000 auto care centers, Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to keep you firing on all cylinders.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
What's up?
I'm tired of feeling so bloated.
That used to be me. Then I got this.
Align Bloating Relief plus food digestion. A probiotic, right?
Yeah, it works naturally with your gut to help soothe occasional bloating and gas. Plus, it has vitamin B12 to aid digestion by helping convert food to cellular energy. 2 benefits, 1 capsule.
Align Bloating Relief plus food digestion from the #1 doctor-recommended probiotic brand. Learn more at alignprobiotics.com.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be signs that your digestive system isn't working at its best? But taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil supports your daily digestive health using a special plant-based fiber called psyllium. Psyllium works by forming a gel in your digestive system to trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Metamucil's gelling action also helps to promote heart health and slows down sugar absorption to promote healthy blood sugar levels. Start feeling lighter and more energetic by taking Metamucil every day.
Maybe it's time that someone told you there is a God and He loves you. The Bible says that we're cut off from our connection with God. Our problems with relationships come from not having a relationship with Him. Our struggles with addiction come from trying to fill the void that only He can fill. We lie because we're running from the one who always tells the truth. We're lonely because He wants to commune with us, but we push Him away. You see, all these things and much more are not the real problem. They're just symptoms. The real problem is that we were created to live in a relationship with God. So how does a person find that relationship? According to the Bible, we are born with that relationship to Him broken. But He loves us and wants to restore that communion, and He's already provided a solution in the person of Jesus Christ. Are you ready to experience life to the fullest? Jesus said, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." 90and9.org.
Visit 90and9.org. NINETYANDNINE.org. 90and9.org.
Prioritizing your health is one of the best ways to take care of yourself. From routine visits to the joys of pregnancy to the illnesses that stop you in your tracks, Iredell Health System will be by your side. Learn more at iredellhealth.org.
76 years strong, and we're still the one. WSIC News, Talk, Now.
All right. Well, that's definitely a different comeback music. So I was waiting for that to fade out there. Little head bobbing going on. So during the break, I realized that we did stay live in studio, so you could see us. And I took a phone call from my lieutenant out there, just letting us know that another good day of school. You know, school's back in Iredell County. Sheriff's got school resource officers in all of the county schools. We've got 4 canines out there in the schools. So every elementary school, 14 of those, 7 middle schools, and 3 high schools are all being covered by deputy sheriffs this year. So, well, you know, this is something he's had in place now for a couple of years. But that's an awesome thing for the parents out there in Iredell County. So we appreciate your support in getting that done. And I appreciate the support from the folks back at the office. Dare St. John sent me a text. You okay? You need anything? Because I look like I was really stressed out on the phone. But no, it's all good. Welcome back in studio. We are here with Detective Parks and Detective Lieutenant Eichard. And we were talking about the special victim stuff. One of the other cases that I mentioned early on that Detective Parks had worked in was one that we saw on our Facebook, on the Sheriff's Facebook earlier a few weeks ago, and has just popped back up again. And that is the case of Mr. Brady Wayne Gaither, 59 years old, of Tabor Road in Olin, North Carolina. These charges are felony first-degree kidnapping, felony statutory sex offense with a child, 4 counts of felony second-degree statutory sexual offense, 17 counts of felony indecent liberties with the child. These dated back to 2015, and this gentleman is under a $1 million bond. So, Detective Parks, tell us about that case. You got word of it on July 28, 2023.
Yes, sir, that's correct. Yes, so this came out on July 28th, just after midnight. Deputies responded to the address in Olin. Initially, it was a call about a physical assault.
Mm-hmm.
The victim was a juvenile. The injuries were felonious, basically meaning that the injuries were serious. Whenever we deal with anything like broken bones or any kind of reconstructive surgery or anything that's going to alter somebody for a long period of time, you're talking about felony injury. So that was the case when deputies went out there. So they contacted us. Myself and a couple of other detectives responded to the scene. And I then went to the hospital, spoke with the victim. As the result of our investigation, we determined that the suspect was Brady Wayne Gaither. We spoke with some other folks involved in the case, actually got information that led to us going back and finding the weapon that was used against this juvenile victim. and he was charged initially with the felonious assault. So he already had a $450,000 bond in that case alone. And then as a result of that investigation, we also began to get further information from the victim involving Mr. Gaither. So the victim did have a forensic interview last week. And as a result of that forensic interview, there was, let's just say, a long history of sex assault that was disclosed from Brady Wayne Gaither. And so that then kind of sparked a second investigation, and I've been working on that throughout the last week or so with several other great detectives who've put in a lot of work with it as well. And that has resulted in the additional charges that you spoke of, the first-degree kidnapping, statutory sex offense with a child 13 and 14 or 15, second-degree statutory sex offense, 4 counts of that, and then the 17 indecent liberties charges. So he got an additional $1 million bond on those charges. So right now he's just under $1.5 million on his bond. So
all right. Well, I was going to say something wrong there. I shouldn't say, but yes. Thank you for your work in that. Going back to the forensics, I'll say again, forensics is criminal investigation of evidence. So you had a forensic financial interview, I guess you'd say, but this case used a specialist, someone that could speak to children,
correct,
and those who've been victims of sex crimes or other abuse type situations.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Generally, in these cases, we utilize the Dove House,
right,
who have trained forensic interviewers.
Right.
Forensic really in this case just means a more of a deep dive interview. They're trained to interview juveniles and victims of assault in a way that they don't ask leading questions.
Right.
They don't plant any ideas in the victim's mind. It's not like I would go to Lieutenant Eichert and say, "Oh, this person did this to you, didn't they?" I mean, that's a very leading question.
Right. Yep.
And so the training they go through eliminates all of that. They basically just establish a rapport with the victim, and then once the victim's comfortable talking to them, they just say, "Tell me what happened to you," and they let the victim tell it in their own story or their own detail.
And you talking about that, and the call I took from the break is talking about those resource officers. They build that rapport with those students, and
yes,
they're on the app. So we've got a lot of students that'll download the app and they'll say something, see something, say something. But if a student ever comes forward to a counselor or to a resource officer or something, it's very limited information that they get if they disclose some type of a sex crime or assault in that nature. It's very little information that they want to get initially, because they want that forensic interview or someone who is trained to be able to do that, to get that out of them, and it be, plus that keeps it from, having to go to court, hopefully, be further victimized. So
well, it keeps you from having to go over the same material that's traumatic over and over.
Right.
Also.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the last thing we want is for a child to have to tell a stranger what happened to them 3 or 4 or 5 times.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the reason for
further
that.
victimization. Yeah, in this charge you were talking about the assault is what the initial call to the home was, and so that was a felony assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, inflicting serious injury.
That's correct.
Yeah. So this is that was pretty serious.
Yes, it was.
Okay. All right. And then obviously, anytime dealing with the sex crimes and that type of stuff, it gets very serious. Wow. Some of these cases right here. I mean, you guys deal with a lot of these things, and you have to keep on going through these and realize that the victim sometimes you have to speak for them in these cases. So we appreciate you're able to do that.
I'd like to say also, I know some of the links that both Detective Parks and Sergeant Dixon went to and follow up on this when new information was developed. They really went above and beyond what a lot of folks would do. So I'm really proud of the effort they put into that. That's brought about what we have here.
Right. And I've got some comments here on Facebook Live. We appreciate you watching. Carl Mitchell there, his friends in blue, and I guess me too, because I'm in gray. And there's Olin, wow, North Iredell High School, and then put him under the jail. So I can say those comments are right there. So thank you comments on that. Well, we've got just a few more minutes before we go to our next break. Anything about Special Victims Unit that you guys see that we need to, when we come back, we'll talk about some community programs, but where do you guys see the unit going in the future?
Crime continues everywhere you go.
Right.
So we'd like to continue to expand as possible.
Mm-hmm.
The more people you have versus your workload, of course, the more successful you can be.
Right.
Like for fraud, for example, there's a little bit of a triage process. There's only so much you can do sometimes because of the volume that you're dealing with. But they do a good job of managing things currently, but you'd always like to have more help.
And obviously a lot of training goes involved, some, I guess you'd say, cross-training as well. Detective Parks, you dealt with this, these serious cases of fraud and embezzlement, and then you deal with these cases here too. So, I mean, it's a whole unit. You've got some more specialized individuals, but like you said, Sergeant Dixon was able to help out with that too. So
who had experience in both ends of that also.
Yeah.
So that's some good experience to lean on.
Yep. Well, there's some good experience over there. You've got 20 years now. What do we say? You've got 12 years.
Yes, sir.
Justin. So it's good to have some good qualified people. The sheriff's done well picking you guys out. So give us a few more minutes, and we'll be right back here on WSIC.
Be a part of the conversation.
Hey, are you calling for good, bad, and guilty? Hello? Oh, are you there? Hello?
Here's your WSIC community calendar. Asheville native Kanan Cox is
Hello?
performing Friday, August 25th at Green Center Fringe Arts. Get your tickets while they last. Show starts at 8 p.m. Visit canearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. Want to showcase your music skills? Richard's Coffee Shop and Military Museum in downtown Mooresville has their music jam sessions every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to noon. Richard's Coffee Shop, located in downtown Mooresville. For more info, visit welcomevets.com. Ever dreamed of seeing Freddie Mercury and Queen live? Absolute Queen, a Queen tribute, will be playing at Boatyard Eats in Cornelius Friday, August 18th. Tickets are $20 online. Enjoy live music and at a fun venue. Absolute Queen, Friday night at Boatyard Eats in Cornelius. To buy tickets, visit boatyardlkn.com. Ever wonder what Mooresville was like in 1873? The historic downtown walking tour is a self-guided tour that will take you on a stroll through Mooresville's past to learn about the history of the town. Featuring 18 stops, the tour begins and ends at the corner of Main Street and Center Avenue. It should take 1 hour to complete. For more info, visit downtownmooresville.com. What would it be like to play glow stick bingo? Come check out the Bingo Glow Party at the Statesville Civic Center. Tuesday, August 22nd, doors open at 6 p.m. All games will be played under blacklight. Glow stick bingo at the Statesville Civic Center. For more info, visit civiccenter.statesvillenc.net. Have an event you'd like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
I'm Keith Maloney with your WSIC forecast. As we head into the evening, we'll have partially cloudy skies. Our low temperature will be 66 degrees. For Thursday, sunny skies all day with a high temperature of 88 degrees. And looking at Thursday night, we're going to have mostly clear skies. Our low temperature will be 66 degrees. I'm Keith Maloney from WSIC's Weather Center.
Increase your peace of mind and keep your family comfortable with propane tank monitoring from G&B Energy and Tank Utility. With this app, you can avoid running out of gas while you're grilling, receive alerts when your tank is low, and monitor your tank while you're away. Get peace of mind with G&B Energy's tank monitoring app today. Visit gbenergy.com or drop by 128 Entercraft Drive, Statesville. G&B Energy.
Breaking news, expert analysis, and the stories that matter most, all in one place.
I totally acknowledge seeing flames is a scary situation.
WSIC News Talk Now.
6
All right, welcome back, folks, here in studio. Joe just informed me he didn't get a chance to say a whole lot before, so the sheriff always gives him a chance to say. So, hey, say hello, Joe.
How you doing today?
All right. It's nice meeting you. Thank you for welcoming us. Welcome here today.
I'm glad that somebody's here today instead of just doing a pre-recorded show. We didn't even know the sheriff wasn't going to be here.
No. We need to figure out how to zoom him in.
Well, he could always call. He knows the phone number. He reads it out every week.
He does. Exactly right. He loves the callers. So thank you, callers, as well, for calling in about stuff. During the break, we were just talking about some of the things that we do for the community. You had mentioned, I like the way Acker said, we're deputies first, right? So, these cars that you see out there, whether they're the unmarked and we're wearing our shirts and ties today, we still carry the badge and we still do the job. So the fugitive that was captured in your neighborhood, Joe, these guys, the Special Victims Unit, were out there first, one of the first on the scene, and stayed till the end, most of those guys.
They're the ones who apprehended them.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes, absolutely.
So claiming some ownership right there, huh?
Yeah. Well, hey, people are out there doing good work. They need to be given an attaboy for.
Well, even your fraudster here, that the $595,000, I believe I know that one of the uniform sex offender registry guys, didn't he hook him up too?
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah. Sex offender registry, like I said, they have their own duties, but they also work really well in helping the rest of our units underneath our building.
Right. Because those guys deal a lot of felony registration issues. Pretty much, if you're a sex offender and you're not following the rules, that's a felony.
Absolutely.
And they do a lot of investigative work themselves.
They do.
And they've got that car with the cage in it. They can go get who they need to take and take them where they need to go. So, just you were talking during the break about businesses. So if businesses have questions, if any of our citizens have questions, we actually come out and do talks. I know you've talked to sometimes. I've arranged some of those, kind of send them over to your unit, and they get done. So tell us about some of the things you do in the community.
Yes, so we do have a fraud presentation that we present. A lot of the folks that we talk to are either church groups or groups of older folks, but anybody really that wants us to come out and give a presentation, we'll be glad to do it. We just kind of run through a lot of the stuff that we see in our unit, a lot of the scams that we run into, the law enforcement scams, like we were talking about earlier, the dog on Facebook Marketplace scam, anything and everything that we deal with. We just sort of sit down and tell people, hey, this is what we've seen. This is what you should look out for. If somebody's calling you claiming to be law enforcement, they're not going to ask you for money. Like, that's just something that we don't do. Yes. Anything like that, we'd be glad to go through and just talk with people about
a government entity also is not going to accept gift cards.
That's always 100% true.
See, I knew you was going to take that from me, being the professional you are. So there's let's see, we've got Green Dot cards, we've got Apple Pay cards, we've got all these gift cards.
There's a blue million of them. There's so many varieties.
So if they're on the phone and they say, go get you these cards, then call me back, and I need you to scratch off and read me the numbers.
Well, oftentimes it ain't call me back. Yeah. It's stay on the phone with me.
Oh, yeah.
To where I can walk you through going to your local grocery store, pharmacy, whatever, buying these things. And then, okay, now what's the numbers now?
Right.
I'm getting it as soon as possible, and I'm separating you from any outside source that could say, hey, Mom or Dad or hey, buddy, you're getting scammed.
So some of these, and I'm just spitballing, like a PayPal or a Western Union, some of these may have a way to get your money back. Maybe, I don't know, but these things, once they're bought, they're gone.
They're gone.
I mean,
they're gone. There is a potential to recoup that, but it's critical that it be done very, very quickly.
Okay.
What I've told our deputies is, if you get called to somewhere they've used a card like that, stop. Don't even get their name. Don't talk about nothing.
Right.
You've been defrauded? Yes. Is that your card that you used? Yes. Is there an 800 number on the back of it? Yes. Call it now.
Right. Yep.
That's the fastest thing. That's about the only way that you can recover that. Right. Now, and then if they can show proof of ownership, then those companies will then issue a check back to make them whole again financially.
Okay. Yeah. it's good that the companies will step up and do that because they've got their fees and their other stuff, and I guess that's probably why they have that, because there is so much fraud and situations going on there. A lot of businesses have their shrinkage from the internal theft or whatever it may be, and ultimately it comes back to the customers. So you guys are not only saving our victims that are victimized, but the people out there as well, just the average citizens. You're saving them some money as well.
In a roundabout way, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly
sure.
right. Yeah, so you're working for all of us. Appreciate that. Yeah, if it's too good to be true, I believe that's the way you said it before too. If it's just, if it seems like it's too good to be true, don't fall for those things.
Yeah, that's really
Publishers
really dangerous.
Clearinghouse, right? Publishers Clearinghouse. We've seen those since we've been a kid.
Mhm.
Are they still some phone calls coming out about that?
Occasionally, we get that.
Okay.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, Jim McMahon, or what was his name? Ed McMahon.
Ed
I'm
McMahon,
sorry.
yeah, yep.
He doesn't show up with a giant check and flowers and balloons. So, not to say that they don't give out gifts, of course, but it probably ain't you.
Right.
Exactly. Too good to be true. It probably ain't. Deal with the people that you know. Something big that a lot of people miss. Listen to the vocabulary that people use. If they clearly ain't from around these parts, so to speak, you might need to investigate further.
Right.
If you get a letter or an email, this sounds kind of odd, but if you will read it out loud to yourself, because your brain makes sense of what you're reading as best as it can, right?
It flows, yep.
If you start reading it out to yourself, you could tell whoever wrote that English is not their first language.
Right.
If you see kindly do this or that, it's 99% of the time going to be a fraud.
Right.
That's just a couple of red flags. And again, we go into that in our presentations.
Right. That's free, right?
Absolutely.
You're not going to charge anybody anything to come out and talk.
Church group, civic group,
neighborhood group. Yeah, I was going to say group of friends, neighborhood group.
Whatever it may be, and we can tailor it to whatever material you want. I mean, Justin could tell you, if need be. Man, I could talk for 2 hours about fraud and scams, identity theft.
Absolutely.
It's very, very broad, and there's a lot of little small intricacies. And the different parts of it. But we could talk for as long as you wanted, or we could come in and speak for 30 minutes and hit the high notes. Whatever it may be, we'll be glad to do it.
And I know some of these ladies out here feed you guys. I know you've been invited to a few Super Bowls.
Hey, I tell you what, some of the best meals I've had in a long, long time were at a couple churches.
Right, yeah.
Some real good.
Them ladies don't play, right?
No, nobody cooks like church ladies.
No, that's right.
Yep, and it feels good when you do that because you're able to make that difference for them. Because my mama's going through a situation right now, and I'm having to make some phone calls for her, and she's so thankful that she doesn't have to say, "Can I get somebody that speaks English?" or "Is there somebody in America?" or "Give me your supervisor." All the things that we've heard for so many years, they know when they've got a victim on the line, and they know when they've got someone that can't say no or whatever it may be. And some of the stuff she's going through now, I'm able to help her out. I'm able to have a little extra knowledge and know you guys. I think I might even called you the other day on selling a lamp. Didn't I do that for you? I think I called you about selling a lamp on Facebook Marketplace.
Something like that.
Yeah, because you don't know buyers and sellers out there. It's hard to trust folks, but you want to be able to you can trust us. All right? You got questions or whatever, you can call us. Send us a message on the app, or just pick up the phone, call us, come down. Now the caller with his mother, I don't know if he's going to bring her down here to see you. She might have to bring a pie with her, right?
Well, that would be optimal if that happened, but we wouldn't expect it.
Yes, exactly right. So thank you for that as well. Joe, where are we at on time? We've talked about a few things now.
Got a little more than 2 minutes left.
2 minutes left. So with our final 2 minutes, make sure you check out our Facebook. We've got some great pictures of the school resource officers up on there. The kids loving them back to school this week. Parents, I know, were in the car rider lines and at the bus stops and stuff, sending their kids off and appreciating that the sheriff's got those resource officers out there, and they love their job. I mean, that's some of the fun times. I did that for years myself, and it's always a good day. First day of school for the officers as well to go in, and those teachers. We thank you guys for coming back. So and
don't be surprised if you see some plainclothes guys out there too.
Right,
making rounds. We've really tried to emphasize getting out there.
Yeah.
Again,
Oh, yeah.
Every one of us are deputies first.
Yep. And I know that's one of the things that Sheriff has done since he took office, school checks.
Mm-hmm.
We do church checks and business checks, obviously, but school checks, I know the number's well over 80,000 since he came in, since we started counting those, and that number keeps growing and growing. And those are school checks done by you guys, by our deputies in the units, in the zones where the deputy works. He knows his school, he knows his resource officers, he knows the plans of the school and how to deal with those situations. Yeah, you guys. I mean, I know I heard you on the first day of school. They were plainclothes detectives all across the county, and morning and afternoon, and so you're out there every day. So we appreciate that, and that's just further letting the students know that who we are and what we do. And you always check in at the office and always talk to the folks up there, so they know you as well. We're a resource. That officer at school is a resource to the staff and the students and parents as well. His own little community. So, but keep an eye on us on Facebook. I'm going to be releasing probably in the next week or two once the sheriff gets the schedule settled for the Citizens Academy. We just had a successful teen academy 2-3 weeks ago, and one of the largest ones ever. So I hope we'll have another successful Citizens Academy, and we'll bring everyone in for that. We'll have several meetings. Our SVU unit will be there. Our CID unit, our ACE team, ICE team, everywhere. All the folks will be there for that. So, guys, call us if you need us. Our number is 878-3180. And we thank you so much for tuning in to the good, the bad, and the guilty here on WSIC. See you next week.
The new 105.9, 100.7 WSIC, Statesville, Mooresville, North Shore.